while the president-elect has been calling for unity,
this election is over. It's time to put aside the partisanship and the rhetoric that designed to demonize one another.
it's not going to be easy as the president refuses to concede and continues to inflame his 70 million plus voters with the false message that the election was rigged.
I will never accept Joe Biden as president. I mean, if that's your question, that's my answer. I just don't believe that he's right for our country.
You think Donald Trump has won?
Absolutely, I do. I mean, for me to believe that Joe Biden got 78 million votes, got the most votes of any president ever in the history of voting, I find that very hard to believe.
That's never going to be accepted. It's never going to be accepted.
On a quintessential late fall afternoon in a middle-class neighborhood in Youngstown, Ohio, I talked to Gino DeFabio, Tony Esposito, and Laird Eric Wells. Gino and Tony were Democrats until 2016.
We always said that if we ever had a person that talked just like us, that ran for president or ran for an office, we were voting for that person. And that's what Trump is. It's hard to explain his allure, but obviously 70 million people think he's a great guy and want him reelected.
As Trump continues to baselessly declare he won the election, it resonates with these men.
There's a recipe for disaster when they decided to have these mail-in votes. I don't think there's any way of proving the person that mailed that in is the person that actually did it.
Do you want me to read you the numbers now for the states that are still outstanding? I mean, they're all well over 10,000 in each state, some 45,000 in each state. And you look at what secretaries of state have said, they have seen no evidence of massive fraud.
From my vantage point, there's too many smoke and mirrors in terms of ballots appearing here, reappearing there, disappearing here, this, that, and the third. Where there's smoke, there's fire. There's no way. It just doesn't smell right. Too many irregularities.
And even though Trump's own Homeland Security Department is calling this the most secure election in history, mother of four Carrie Pascal also believes the election was rigged.
He was winning. It goes into nighttime. All of a sudden, you wake up the next day, and the state that was red is now blue.
The mail-in vote, it's COVID, and so many people voted absentee, which is one of the reasons all the votes came in late. But you just don't trust those votes?
They kept finding them. It's like, how come you're finding them here, find them there? You weren't finding them in big Republican districts. It just seemed kind of crazy that everything that seemed to come in, how is it 100% Biden?
The New York Times just did a massive calling every Secretary of State or some representative from each state, and every one of them said they saw no evidence of systemic fraud or any sort of massive fraud in each and every state. I think they're totally...
I think there was fraud going on.
She gets along with her neighbor Mike Hall, a Navy veteran and Biden supporter, when they don't talk politics.
So if the evidence supported the claims of fraud, then the court and the judge would see that, and they haven't so far. So I mean, just because the president tweets it or says it at a podium doesn't make it true. You can't speak facts into existence.
But he worries Kerry and many other Trump supporters will never be swayed by Biden.
Can he bring the country together? I think he can do a heck of a lot better job at it than the current president is doing for sure. But one man is not going to heal this country. There's just too much divide. If the 70 million people that voted for Donald Trump don't come to grasp with the fact that this election was legitimate, and they don't accept it, I don't know how we're going to be able to heal that divide.
Back in September, I met Lynn Kincaid and his sister Arthur Schollenberger in Hamilton, Ohio, outside of Cincinnati. Both were strong backers of the president.
I think he almost walks on water.
But now, after the election, a slightly different tone.
Since I was a strong Trump supporter, I'm very disappointed, but it is what it is.
And a slightly different tune than the president on conceding the election.
When the final count comes in, I hope he will be like all past presidents and politely accept the results of the election and have a good transfer power. I'm disappointed that Mr. Trump lost the election. I'm not disappointed that he didn't concede, but when the final tallies are in, I hope he will concede. I think that's the right thing to do, and be presidential?
Well, I'd say that he hasn't been a gracious loser, but then that's his personality. I wouldn't expect him to be a gracious loser, especially if there was any question whatsoever that this was not totally on the up and up.
And their advice to fellow Trump supporters?
If they would just say a prayer to our good Lord and say, Lord, this is the results. We'll like it or not, we're going to have to live with it, and we need to work together as one nation to do what's best for this whole world. If we support Mr. Biden, and hey, he's our new president, if he is our new president, we should support him. I still believe that time heals everything. And I think that we can all work together, and we still have a great future in this country.